In the dry states of the Southwest, there's a group that's been denied a basic human right.
In the Navajo Nation today, a third of our households don't have running water.
But that's not something they chose for themselves. Can the Navajo people reclaim their right to water and contend with the government's legacy of control and neglect?
Our water, our future, our water, our future.
That's in the next season of Reclaimed, the lifeblood of Navajo Nation. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.
Two mothers say their teen daughters will never be the same after their beatdown by the same bully actually went viral.
Your daughter was in the stall hiding and jumped out when my daughter went into the bathroom.
Did you feel like you got even?
At the time?
Bullies beat his son to death. Some of them are going to spend the rest of their lives in the penitentiary. You need to make a decision how you're going to spend the rest of yours. Viral fights of teens throwing punches for social media likes on or off school grounds are happening way too often. Yesterday, we met two mothers who say their teen daughters will never be the same. Their beatdowns by the same 13-year-old bully went viral, and their lives changed forever. However, the parents of the alleged bully, Carla and Irvin, say their daughter is no bully. She's the victim here. Now, tonight, I'm going to sit down with their daughter to find out why she's so angry. But first, take a look at what happened yesterday. A parent's worst nightmare. Jonathan says he knew his 17-year-old son, also named Jonathan, was being bullied at school, but he never imagined his child's life would end over a vape pen and some earbuds.
I felt just overwhelming sadness for humanity. And as a dad, I don't ever get to hug my son again, and I don't get to help him explore life. Obviously broke my heart. Yeah, it was just unimaginably brutal.
Heather says a 13-year-old bully smacked, punched, and kicked her 12-year-old daughter in their apartment's community center. The two girls went to the same middle school, but Heather says the school didn't punish the attacker. 4 months later, another mother, Adriana, says her daughter was lured into the school's bathroom by the same bully. You say that your daughter is not a bully.
No, because my daughter's complaining about a girl that's videoing her every day, calling her names.
And as her father, I'd expect you to defend her to a certain extent, but I would also expect you to say, she crossed the line here, and I need to hold her accountable for that and require her to do better.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you do that?
Yes. First of all, I am extremely sorry to you two about how everything went. I don't raise my kids to be bullies. My daughter is very sorry about what she has done to you guys' daughters.
I am grateful that you are apologizing, but I do not feel that she is sorry, and I don't think she's learned anything.
I don't know your daughter. I don't know your daughter. I just know mine. And I know she's not some...
She's my daughter's monster.
Carla, you had some things you wanted to say.
I just wanted to kind of respond to some of the things I heard. First and foremost, just as Irvin, I'm not okay with either one of the fights. But she did suffer a lot of harassment, police being at my door every day. She wasn't even here. She was clear across on the other town when the cops were knocking on my door. The cops said, I'm getting tired of coming out here for absolutely nothing. Management had to get involved. I got violations. I almost lost my place to live over that fight in the community room. My daughter got put out of school for 4 months. She had to go through a whole bunch of programs and everything she had to go through that nobody else had to go through. And then even up to now, still going to that school and still being picked, trying to fight somebody or something. Not even doing anything. She goes straight to the principal or the counselor and be like, hey, this teacher's trying to say I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm not even doing anything.
I ask you if you thought she had culpability, if she was bullying, if she had any wrongdoing in this, and you said no, she was provoked. You blamed her peers, you blamed the media, you blamed the school.
Okay, that's not what I was saying.
Well, that's what I'm asking you now then. I'll give you a chance to answer that a second time. What is your ownership in this? You've said the police have come, she's gone into therapy. She's doing this because it's court ordered. The school has required it, the court has required it. What are you doing? What have you done to make the situation better?
I got her into intense therapy. She has counseling. She has other things going on prior in life to what she needed some help with.
Well, Carla and Irvin say their daughter has been through a lot and is a victim too.
My daughter suffered a lot. She is a young girl with a lot of mixed emotions and a lot of sadness.
I think it was like 2 years ago. She was at her friend's birthday party. She seen her friend's brother get killed in front of the whole party.
My daughter remembers jumping underneath a park bench, but her boom, boom.
This person was just live, breathing, talking, and then now they're just gone.
It was bad. My daughter would wake up just melting and crying, devastated. And then, right after that, long story short, Dad and I were going on 11 years and we separated. And she's Daddy's little girl.
She feels like now that I have a new girlfriend and she has kids, she feels like, oh, I'm replacing them. We really have to get her some counseling or some type of help. I'm telling her, like, you can't take your anger out on other people just because you're mad.
Irvin, you say that her mother doesn't mother her, that she tries to be her friend.
Yeah, she's more of her friend than her parent. Definitely.
It sounds to me like she needs a parent. How many children are involved here?
We have 3 children together.
Okay, and how many does Carla have when you guys got together?
She had 6.
So there are 9 children involved?
Yes.
Okay, and now you're separated?
Yes.
And you're in a new relationship?
Yes.
And there are 2 kids there?
Yes.
So there are now 11 children involved here?
Mm-hmm.
Can I say something?
Well, you've said a lot, but I haven't heard you say anything that says, I'm going to step up on my child's behalf. I expect you, Carla, I expect you to be loyal to your daughter. I do. I honestly would not expect you to come in here and throw your child under the bus at all. I expect you to step up as her mother and stand by her side. But standing by her side is not defending when she's doing something wrong as opposed to holding her to a higher standard. Obviously, this young girl is in pain. She's hurting. Your daughter is hurting in some way. She's got issues where she needs some relief. She's got pain. And she's lashing out, trying to vent that in some way. Do you agree with that?
I do agree that she is suffering and she does have pain from things.
So
I don't feel, though, that all these things is any reason to say that this made her be a bully. I'm not saying that she's not accountable. I'm not saying I'm not accountable. As far as Irvin saying I'm her friend, I'm not her mother or whatever, it's because we parent different. I don't feel like I have to put my hands on her. And his way is, she's 13. You whoop her ass. Sorry. And I don't feel like I have to do that.
Have you slapped her before?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No. As a teenager, no.
I know for sure, like, I'm not an aggressive parent. I'm an abused kid. I don't put my hands on my kids. If it's too far the line.
Has Carla slapped her?
Definitely, but not on the face or anything like that, maybe on the butt. But yeah, she's definitely disciplined her, just as I have.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested in what she has to say, and I listened to what you had to say, and I want to hear what your daughter has to say. We'll be right back. In times of uncertainty, stemming from economic volatility, political shifts, and global events, it's crucial to work together and unite as a country for a brighter future. Amid these challenges, it's important to take proactive steps to monitor and protect your finances and retirement accounts. That's why I'm turning to physical gold and silver to help protect my accounts, and you should too. Gold and silver prices reached record highs this year, and central banks are buying gold like never before. So get started today with Preserve Gold, the only precious metals company I trust and recommend. They have hundreds of five-star reviews and millions of dollars in trusted transactions. Preserve Gold is giving away a free precious metals guide with information on how to help protect your accounts. Just text Dr. Phil to 50505, and you can get up to $15,000 in free gold and silver with a qualified purchase. So don't wait. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 to claim this exclusive offer from Preserve Gold today.
How do you feel about what people say about you being a bully?
I feel like it's unfair because they don't know my side of the story. I do regret it, and I feel bad. I know I shouldn't be physically hurting people.
If you could change something about one of those days, what would it be?
Maybe to talk it out instead of letting myself get past talking it out.
Carla and Irvin have given me permission to talk to their daughter. We're not identifying the teen as she's still in school and is a minor, so the audience will not see her face, although they can see us. So it's good to talk to you. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You've been having some conflict with some other kids in school. It's resulted in you having a restraining order, a non-stalking order against you. You've been suspended from school for 4 months, right?
Yes.
I'm curious how you feel about that.
I feel like it isn't fair, but I also feel like I should face some of the consequences because of what I've done.
You did, in fact, get into physical altercations with at least 2 other students that we've been talking about, right?
Yes.
Were you responsible for your actions in those situations?
Yes.
Did you attack those girls?
No, I don't think I...
Were these the first fights you had been in?
Yes.
Why start with these 2? Why start with the one girl in the community center, for example?
I felt like she was being too disrespectful to my siblings. So I feel like I had to do something to defend my siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't thinking at the time, so my only technique was to put my hands on her, but I know that it isn't right.
Well, when we watched the video, and I don't know what happened before the video that I was looking at, but the video that I was looking at started with you pushing her several times and saying, "What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it?" I think you said it 7 or 8 times, and then you slapped her in the face. Certainly in that part, you seemed to be the aggressor. You were moving forward, she was backing up. Were you the aggressor then?
I would say so at that time.
Trying to achieve what?
I just felt like I had to protect my siblings.
Mm-hmm. She tried to then run away, and you chased her and grabbed her hair and threw her to the ground after hitting her in the head, I think 9 times. It seemed like the situation was trying to end and you were keeping it going.
I did not, in fact, remember not letting her go.
Well, the video is very clear. Do you agree? Did you feel like you got even?
At the time. But I know what's right and what's wrong.
There was another incident where you had a fight in a bathroom, and it was said to be over a boy. And they said you lured a girl into a bathroom and jumped out of a stall and started a fight with her. Is that true?
I remember one of the girls bringing her in, but I wasn't in the stall.
Did you start the fight?
No.
Okay, so some girl brought her in and you were in there and she started a fight with you?
No, me and my friends were just hanging out, and then one of my friends had brung her into the bathroom. And then that's when it all just started to happen.
The fight just happened? You were just in the bathroom and next thing there was a fight going on?
No, it was like little kid stuff, you know, like all of us had a part in it.
Uh-huh.
All of us were doing something.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how angry would you say you are in general?
An 8 or a 7. I'm angry, but I'm not gonna walk around looking angry. I'm gonna make sure I have a smile on my face still, even if I am angry.
Uh-huh. On a happiness scale, on a 1 to 10, with 10 being the happiest, where would you put yourself on a happiness scale?
A 4 or 5.
Is peace even a concept that you can think about? Is peace and harmony something that's part of your day?
It could be half the time. Like, if I'm around people I enjoy being around, then I'm okay.
When are you most peaceful?
I think when I'm alone.
Describe peaceful to me.
Quiet. And it just feels like you're away from every, like, problem, and, like, I'm just okay.
When was the last time you really took a deep breath and really, really relaxed? I mean, just...
Could you repeat that again?
Yeah, I thought you might have trouble understanding that concept a little bit. When was the last time you ever were able to really just take a deep breath and just completely relax? No worries, no having to watch, no nothing, just able to completely relax. Do you ever do that?
I don't think so.
What is it you feel like you have to stay on guard about and worry about?
I worry about people, and then school, and then home. So.
If you didn't worry about those things, what are you afraid might happen?
I would lose people I love if I didn't. I'd just lose everything.
Do you ever worry if you don't hold on pretty tight, pay attention, that you might not get to stay, might not have a place?
Sometimes.
You ever seen anyone killed?
Yes. It was 2 years ago. I was at one of my friend's birthday parties, and an argument had happened, and all I remember is flying under a bench and gunshots going off.
So you saw someone shot and killed?
Yes.
You may have never thought about it in these terms, but I'll ask you to think about it now. Have you ever maybe had the attitude with regard to other people that maybe you better get them before they get me?
Like, it might seem like it because of what everyone says about me, but I don't like hurting people, and I don't like physically attacking. So I'm gonna see myself putting my hands on someone unless they do it first, because it made me realize a lot.
Can you tell me the 5 things you like best about yourself?
I'm very caring. I like that about myself. I like how I can make people happy sometimes.
What do you think about the fact that it's really hard to name even 5 things that you really like about yourself?
I think it's sad.
I bet you could name 5 things you don't like about yourself pretty easily, couldn't you?
Yeah. I don't like when I let my actions affect other people. I don't like when I hurt people I love. I don't like when I take my anger out on whoever is around me.
How do you think your life's going to turn out?
I do think that I'm gonna be successful if I really do try hard enough.
Think you would have a better chance if you said, you know what? The past is over and the future hasn't happened yet. The only time is right now. I've got to forgive myself in the here and now. I can't carry around all of this. I got to forgive myself, and I got to choose who I'm going to be. I'm not a victim. I'm not going to be a perpetrator. I got to wipe that slate clean, and I'm going to be who I am on purpose. You're smart enough to do that. You know that, right?
Yes.
I mean, everybody goes through a lot of stuff. You've been through a lot of stuff, right, Dad? I've been through it. You've been through it. You've been through it. But there's a point at which you say, you know what? I'm not living for my parents anymore. I'm not living for the school anymore. I'm making these choices for myself. You know, we were talking to Jonathan earlier. He had some bullies beat his son to death. And you know what? They made choices. They're going to live with them. Some of them could spend the rest of their lives in the penitentiary. You need to make a decision how you're going to spend the rest of yours. And you can do that. You have that choice. You haven't done anything incredibly stupid yet. Now, you can get big stupid, right? You can get big stupid. You can go get drunk, get behind the wheel of a car. You can go get on drugs and go do that. Listen, I've seen it happen. I've been doing this for a long, long time. And I've seen stupid. You're not stupid. So be smart. Make choices for you. Robin always tells women it's not selfish to put yourself first. It's not selfish to put yourself at the top of the list, because you can't take care of others unless you take care of yourself. You got siblings. Inspire them. You're better than how you're behaving. You know that, don't you?
Yes.
Then decide who you want to be and do it. I don't want to be talking about you to somebody else in the negative 5 years from now. I want to be telling a great story about you 5 years from now, because you made the right decisions. Am I telling her the truth?
Oh, everything you're saying. Everything you're saying is the truth.
You two need a better relationship.
Absolutely.
You need to spend more time talking about things. And it doesn't matter what they are. I always say you need to talk to kids about things that don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a lot of practice when it comes time to talk about things that do matter. She needs a powerful male role model in her life, and you need to step up and be there. And whatever's going on that's put distance between you need to heal that and support what I'm telling her. You do support what I'm telling her, right?
Absolutely.
Do you love your daughter?
More than anything.
Do you believe that he loves you?
Yes.
Do you love your dad?
Yes.
Then work together. When I tell you to be who you're on purpose and that you can really choose your own future, do you believe me?
100%.
I think you do. All right. When we come back, I want to tell you what the school had to say about all this. We'll be right back.
Marketing is hard. But I'll tell you a little secret. It doesn't have to be. Let me point something out. You're listening to a podcast right now, and it's great. You love the host. You seek it out and download it. You listen to it while driving, working out, cooking, even going to the bathroom. Podcasts are a pretty close companion. And this is a podcast ad. Did I get your attention? You can reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a pre-produced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience in their favorite podcasts with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com, that's Libsyn, ads.com today.
Hi, I'm Chris Gethard, and I'm very excited to tell you about Beautiful Anonymous, a podcast where I talk to random people on the phone. I tweet out a phone number, thousands of people try to call. You talk to one of them, they stay anonymous, I can't hang up, that's all the rules. I never know what's going to happen. We get serious ones. I've talked with meth dealers on their way to prison. I've talked to people who survived mass shootings. Crazy funny ones. I talked to a guy with a goose laugh, somebody who dresses up as a pirate on the weekends. I never know what's going to happen. It's a great show. Subscribe today, Beautiful Anonymous.
Dr. James Kimmel is joining us. He and I are friends. We've worked on some things together and continue to. He is a lecturer at Yale University in psychology, has spent his life studying violence, revenge. Dr. Kimmel, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
You know, I've talked a lot about what's gone on in this country right now, and there's certainly been an uptick in violence and bullying, and you've actually broken this down to the point that it's understandable because there's a cycle that's going on here, correct?
That's correct. So what's happening here, and why does this keep happening, and can we ever, as humans, get to the point where it stops? So what we're dealing with is when we experience some form of grievance or some form of mistreatment, this creates pain inside the brain. We've all experienced this type of pain, the pain of victimization or trauma. When you experience trauma, victimization, pain, your brain wants to rebalance. To do that, it's got to create some or come up with some way of creating a pleasure balance. To do that, it activates this reward pathway inside the brain, the same pathway that activates for addiction, drug addiction. And so what is occurring is it creates a craving, a desire to retaliate against the person who wronged you or their proxy. It could be anyone. It doesn't actually have to be the person who actually wronged you. But this gives you a little bit of a high. It gives you a little bit of gratification. It's a little bit of pleasure, Dr. Phil. But it's a dangerous form of pleasure. It's elusive, just like any other form of narcotics, because it doesn't last very long, and it always comes with a whole bunch of pain following behind it in its trail. And if you keep doing it, it can become habit forming. You can actually become a revenge addict in which you keep going to that well again and again to make yourself feel better for the wrongs of the past.
I think an important thing for people to understand is you don't have to be a real victim. It can be just that you perceive yourself as a victim. You can just wrongly believe that somebody was talking trash about you when maybe they weren't even, that you perceive yourself to be victimized, and so now you retaliate. So you don't even have to actually have somebody do something to you to start this cycle going, and then once you're in it, it can just keep going and going and going when maybe nothing ever really happened to you to begin with.
That's exactly right. You can actually even imagine it. It's not even a perception. You can imagine being victimized and begin this process of craving retaliation. And that gratification of that craving is what you're looking for. It's what the brain is looking for. And it always results in additional rounds of pain, suffering, and it's beginning to victimize other people around you. And you get this rebound effect, which you can't break out of the cycle. That's the cycle we're seeing in America today. America is a revenge-addicted nation. That's what we're seeing.
And one of the things I want to be real clear with you guys about, and we'll talk some more about what Dr. Kimmel says in just a minute, but one of the things that you guys need to understand that I understand is the why doesn't matter when it's your child that's being victimized. The why doesn't matter. First thing that needs to happen is you need to suppress the behavior. You want it to stop. And this is what drives me crazy. We see some of these prosecutors and DAs and stuff say, well, the system has failed the criminal. I had some victims on just last year where they had turned a criminal out that assaulted people violently with a weapon time and time again. They keep putting them back on the street till he just picked up a lead pipe and hit a former Olympian right between the eyes with a lead pipe. Well, come on. Okay, so maybe this person is in a revenge cycle. Maybe this person is hurt in some way. Great, let's help them, but let's do that before we keep putting them back out in an unsuspecting, innocent public. You first gotta suppress the behavior. And if that means taking them out of the game until you do that. But you don't just keep putting them back out there until you use the wisdom that you're imparting on everyone. You can't just keep putting them back on the street. And I want to talk more about that and hear more from Dr. Kimmel right after the break. The school took a position on this situation that is a statement I would like to share on what they said. The school statement is, if any allegations of bullying are raised, we take immediate actions to address them thoroughly. We maintain strict anti-bullying policies and continuously work towards developing a safe and supportive learning environment. You know, when I looked at that, the word that jumped out at me was immediate. I don't think there was anything immediate at all about what they did. Your daughter stayed in the same classroom for 10 days, and they didn't actually intervene until your daughter got involved 4 months later.
Which I called them an hour before her daughter was attacked and let them know that this what's going to happen with this restraining order.
So, I mean, this is just word salad to me. And when I say understanding why they do it doesn't take away the pain that Jonathan feels from losing his son. Those 11 boys that were involved may well have been caught up in this revenge cycle. That doesn't bring his son back, but it does give people some understanding in how to maybe stop this from continuing to perpetuate in society. We looked at 20 different stories. Out of the 20, Doctor, 16 of the victims committed suicide out of these headlines. 16 of the victims committed suicide, which is why your research is so important to get implemented and trained to stop this revenge cycle. And I'm going to ask you to give us a brief explanation of intervention strategy you've developed, and then I'm going to put the thing in detail on the website for people to look at that they can do, because there's something that you've developed that people can do to actually offload some of this pain. Talk about the trial a bit.
Well, sure. And you know, Dr. Phil, you utilized some of that with the student who's being accused of being a bully. You can get control of your revenge craving cycle by first acknowledging the pain that you've experienced with somebody of any sort. And it could be any kind of pain. You imagined it, you perceived it, it's real for you. That's all that matters. The next thing that you need to do once you do that is give a little thought to what their story might be. We've seen that today. We've actually had an opportunity to experience the other side of the story. And when we take a moment to think about the other person, usually the the perpetrator, and actually put ourselves in that role, the role of the defendant in a trial, in a courtroom trial. When you put yourself in that role, you start to see things a little bit differently, and that can develop a little bit of empathy. You may not want empathy right now, but it's a fun little experiment to play with and see, what would you say if you were the defendant? Then be the judge, and you can be the judge and convict the person for the wrongs that they've done to you or people that you care about. Then the most important thing is move to imagining punishing them and get that gratification, that revenge seeking that you're looking for and makes you feel better. Go ahead and take it now while it's safe and don't act it out in real life. But then the last step is what Dr. Phil just demonstrated so well, which is imagine for a moment what it feels like to forgive the wrong, not the person right now, just forgive what happened to you. Let that out and take that deep breath that Dr. Phil just explained, that deep, relaxing breath that says, I am moving on from this. Forgiveness is not a gift that you give to the perpetrator, ever. It is a gift that you give to yourself. It is the only and most effective way we have as humans of healing from the wrongs of the past and moving forward into the present and the future with those wrongs pushed aside.
There's two last things that I want to clarify before we finish today. And one is, I have been very passionate about this for a long time. I've actually talked about this in congressional testimony on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., and that is the responsibility of bystanders. When you look at the typical bullying situation, typical bullying scenario, in 80% of bullying scenarios, there are witnesses. There are bystanders. Bullies don't usually do this privately. They do it with an audience. And in 80% of the situations, there is a bystander witnessing it. In 20% of those situations, the bystanders do something. In 20% of the situations, they do something. And in those 20% of the situations, it stops the bullying over 50% of the time. Bystanders have responsibilities. And if you're seeing it happen and you step up, in over 50% of the cases, it will stop it. And the last thing I want to say is there's been a lot of headlines lately that there has been a huge uptick in this violence in schools because of COVID. This didn't happen because of COVID. It happened because of how poorly COVID was managed by the government and the way they handled the COVID situation. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Because the same people that managed the COVID situation were the same people that were keeping the records of anxiety, depression, and loneliness among our young people, and knew since 2009 and 2010 that those levels had spiked to the highest levels since they had been keeping records. And the same people that were keeping those records are the same people that shut down the school system, not for 2 weeks, not for 2 months, but for 2 years. Those are the same people that knew how important it is for these young people to interact with one another, to have these developmental experiences with one another, to have the interactions and the competition. They're the same people that understand that mandated reporters are the ones that watch these kids and are the people that report abuse and sexual molestation to Department of Child and Family Services and Child Protective Services. And they knew that those referrals dropped as much as 40 or 50% nationwide. That's not because abuse and sexual molestation dropped 40 or 50%. It's because mandated reporters didn't have eyes on those children during that time. Why? Because they were sent home and locked up and abandoned to the very people that were doing the molestation and the abuse. We sent them home and locked them up with the abusers, and the mandated reporters didn't have their eyes on them. And so what did they say when they were asked about that? They said, well, it was a new virus and we did the best we could with what we knew. No, you didn't. You didn't do the best you could with what you knew. What you did is you had a new hammer and everything looked like a nail. So you shut the situation down and you left it that way for 2 years. And then when you put everything back together, those kids came back out into the wild and started aggressing on each other. So you own that. It wasn't COVID, it was the people that mismanaged it. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. I'm not, but I could be. I want to thank Dr. James Kimmel and all of my guests tonight, and I want to thank you for watching. Our mission here at Dr. Phil Primetime and at Merritt Street Media is to talk about things that matter to people who care. And boy, have those issues changed over the years. Family is under attack in America, and it's time that we talk about it. So stay tuned for more television that you can actually use and tell your friends. Merritt Street Media is available everywhere that you watch TV. And I talk about all of the issues and more in my new book, We've Got Issues, How to Stand Strong for America's Soul and Sanity, and it's available everywhere you can buy books. For more information about tonight's show, log on to drphil.com. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
In the dry states of the Southwest, there's a group that's been denied a basic human right.
In the Navajo Nation today, a third of our households don't have running water.
But that's not something they chose for themselves. Can the Navajo people reclaim their right to water and contend with the government's legacy of control and neglect?
Our water, our future. Our water, our future.
That's in the next season of Reclaimed, the lifeblood of Navajo Nation. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.